So the other day I was listening to every Eminem album, trying to decide which one is Eminem's best album ever. And so today I'm gonna break it down for y'all on which one I think is his worst album, which one I think needs so much more love, and which one is Eminem's best album to come out of his catalog, okay? With all the Eminem albums and all the songs and all the great lyrics to ever come out of him, we know for damn well certain that it ain't this album, so get it off my screen. Oh, be real, come on, you all know that. I didn't have to go through a whole list just to tell you that Revival is the worst album. But before we get into the rest of this list, I just want to say that this is my opinions, okay? So don't get too angry. You might have some different opinions, but I'm the one making the video, so I'm not going to take your opinions into consideration. I'm just going to take mine. Fair? Fair. Alright, cool. Also, I'm not ranking any of the deluxes because that's way too many albums, and I just don't want to. So I'm just ranking the ones that I want to rank. I'm also not ranking Infinite because it's not on Spotify. And although I just said I'm not ranking any of the deluxes, I am ranking one, and that's Encore's Deluxe, just because there is no like original version on Spotify. So it's just the deluxe in his catalog, and that's what I'm ranking. But let's get back into the video, okay? So obviously we know Revival is the worst. It had like 2 good songs on it, and the rest sucked. And the worst part about this was that even me living in Canada, it was advertised so much. Like, I don't know why they advertised this album so much, but they did. You saw it on billboards, you saw it on planes, on trains. They tried to embed it into your brains, okay? It was everywhere, and I'm sick of it because it sucked. It was his worst album. But moving on, we got Kamikaze. And I know for some people that this is his best album ever. They love this album. They will ride or die for Kamikaze. Say no one ever because it sucks. Okay, Kamikaze is not actually that great. It's decent. It's definitely better than Revival without a doubt. But it's actually not that good. And I don't understand the people who ride for this album because really it was cool to see him diss a bunch of people. And it was cool to see him diss MGK into a completely different career path. But that was it. After like 3 songs of him dissing people, I was kind of done with it. We got the next slot, which was actually one of the hardest slots to fill because I feel like the next couple albums I started to like enjoy more, and it was definitely hard to decide between 2 albums on which one goes in this spot. But ultimately, I had to pick Music to Be Murdered By, just because I don't listen to as many songs on that album. I don't think it's top 5 material. I don't think it's like the greatest Eminem album ever at all. It did have some quality in there, but it was very lackluster in my opinion. Encore, I think, is a little bit better just because it had some classics like Toy Soldier and Mockingbird, which I know people don't like Toy Soldier, but I love Toy Soldier. So y'all can hate me if you want. Y'all don't like it, I don't care. I liked it. I think it was a good song. But yeah, I think it was Eminem's first bad album, really. It was his first big L that he took. Moving on, though. This one might be shocking to you because I'm putting The Death of Slim Shady, his newest album, to come out. And honestly, I really like this album, and I still listen to it. I'm still listening to it. It's still on my rotation, but it's too new to decide. And I think with time, I might put it higher. It might grow in my favor. But right now, it is where it is, and the storytelling was great. And how you could listen to it backwards, kind of like how Kendrick Lamar did with Damn. So that was just a really cool feature that Eminem had with this album. You can listen to it from beginning to end or end to beginning, and it's 2 different stories. So, which is just talent right there. Not every rapper can do that. The Death of Slim Shady was also Eminem's best album to come out since 2012. And if you're liking this video so far, please go like, comment, and subscribe. But anyways, let's get back into my wonderful opinions that you guys are all here for. And in my opinion, this next category of albums is where I think we get some of Eminem's best work. You know, the Eminem that we know and love to this day. I'm going to put the Slim Shady LP. Honestly, this album was good. It had some good songs, but it did not age as well as a lot of people thought it would. I don't think that this is Eminem's best album, and some people do put this as Eminem's best album. And in my opinion, those are only old heads, you know? And they're making their opinion fully based on nostalgia. And that's stupid, and that's dumb, and they shouldn't do that, because you're missing out on so much good Eminem. But regardless, they put it there. It belongs in the number 6 slot, not in top 5 in my opinion. And honestly, I think it's time for you all to move on. And speaking of moving on, let's. So we're going to move on to the next one, which I believe is Eminem's most underrated album, which I believe Eminem needs so much more love for because he really experimented with this one. And I know y'all know what I'm talking about as soon as I said that, because Relapse is a fantastic album. And I'm tired of hearing all the hate that Relapse gets. So y'all can just take it and take it somewhere else because it's not welcomed here. You guys really did a number on Eminem with this one, convincing him that it wasn't a good album. And the whole time I was saying, this is a good album. This is a fantastic Eminem album. I loved it from the beginning, and I was telling people that. I didn't really because, I was like, I don't know, like 6 or something. But regardless, this was a good album. And although I didn't tell people it was a great album, I still thought it was a great album. No, but bro, seriously though, bro really deserved credit for this album. And he did not deserve that much hate. Y'all really did a number on him because he really thought this wasn't that great. But his experimentation is what made it so good. And it aged like fine wine. Now next, some people are going to put this so much higher on their list. Some people even put this album at number 1. And the album that I'm talking about, of course, is the Marshall Mathers LP. I don't think it's number 1. I think it's a little outdated. It does have some of Eminem's fantastic songs, like Stan is on there, and that, in my opinion, is one of the best storytelling songs ever. And it really does deserve a lot of love. I'm not trying to take any credit away from this album. It is a fantastic album. I just have others above it because ultimately I listened to them more. I think he worked harder on them. I think that there's more talent involved in the next couple albums, okay? There's really only 3 left. And so let's get right into my top 3. Of course, I'm going to put Recovery. And you guys might not like that, but I do because this was my favorite Eminem album. And it was the Eminem album that got me into Eminem. So is this decision based on nostalgia? Maybe. Probably, yeah. But whatever. Are you kidding me? Now I have to go back because of that stupid car. Oh my god, I hate loud cars. Oh, but Elmer, I thought making opinions based on nostalgia was dumb and stupid and blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, I don't care. That's why I'm not putting it at number 1, obviously. But it's still my favorite album, and it still has so much love in my heart because it was also the first time I memorized an Eminem song. And that song, if you guys are wondering, which you might not be, is No Love. But I still liked it. Still a good album to me. Okay? So get off my back. Next off, we're going to go to 2 albums left. We got 2 slots left, and this is going to be the second place album. So if you guys are thinking, hey, there's kind of a theme here, well, you'd be right. And the second album that we're going to put here is the Marshall Mathers LP number 2. To fit on theme. Not because this is my opinion, but it is. Honestly, I like this album. I really do. No, in all seriousness, this was a good album. It was all-rounded, really. And although I did outgrow some songs on here, like Berserk, for example, I'm sorry, it's just way too aggressive for me. It's not my favorite anymore. I really do like this album. And it has my favorite Eminem song on this album. And if you guys are wondering about that, because I'm always wondering about other people's favorite songs, just joking, I don't wonder at all. But it is definitely Legacy. My favorite Eminem song has to be Legacy. I think it's a very underrated song. And this album was kind of underrated. It kind of came when everybody thought Eminem was done. People who weren't a big fan of Relapse when it came out. And then they also weren't a huge fan of Recovery when it came out. So, people were hoping he would go back to, like, the way he was with Marshall Mathers LP, and he kind of did. This was that. And in my opinion, this is better than the Marshall Mathers LP. Moving on from that, we're finally getting into the best Eminem album ever, and that has to be The Eminem Show. Okay, obviously. This is Eminem's best work. This is Eminem's most talented performance on an album. His lyricism was fantastic. His production was great. Storytelling, outstanding, and it's really what made people think Eminem was the GOAT at that time. He had just come off, this was his trio album, this was the 3rd one to come in, and this one was my favorite overall. It was really good, and I think that this album, for me specifically, when listening to Eminem, was the album that solidified him as a GOAT, in my opinion, when it comes to hip-hop. It also placed him on the Mount Rushmore of hip-hop, because back then there was Jay-Z, Nas, Tupac, and Biggie, and so there wasn't really any room for Eminem until he dropped The Eminem Show. When it comes to lyricism, Eminem is the best rapper that we've ever gotten, and this album proves it. And to this day, this album still stacks up. Unlike the other 2 albums, like the Marshall Mathers LP and Slim Shady LP, this one really does stand the test of time, and it's still a fantastic album if you go listen to it today. And if you guys did love this video and were thinking to yourselves, hey, I wonder if this guy has ranked the Kendrick Lamar albums, well, you'd be right, and that video is right here. And if you're wondering, hey, what are the other best storytelling songs like Stan? Well, then that video is down there. So go check both of them out, because you're going to love them. And if you don't, and you're just going to leave, well then, get out of here.